Welcome to Daily Harmony.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really going to get stuck into, well, a pretty huge concept from A Course in Miracles.
Yeah.
Lesson 163.
Ah, yes. There is no death. The Son of God is free. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. And that's our mission today, isn't it? To kind of unpack what that actually means.
Yeah.
This idea of deathlessness, eternal life, and what true spiritual freedom looks like, according to this lesson.
Exactly. Trying to get to the heart of it without making it overly complicated. It's meant to be freeing, after all.
Right. And we're drawing directly from the lesson text itself and also some study materials that help explain it.
Helps to get different angles on it.
So we'll look at this core idea, death as an illusion. Then what the Course means by Son of God, this eternal free aspect of us.
And crucially, how we can maybe apply this understanding, practically, especially when dealing with things like loss or aging or just that general fear of endings.
Okay, so this central assertion, there is no death. I mean, that flies in the face of everything we see, right?
It absolutely does, and that's the point, I think. The Course consistently challenges our perception of the physical world. To say death isn't real is, well, it's a direct hit on perhaps our most ingrained belief about physical existence.
It forces a shift, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Away from seeing the body as the be-all and end-all.
Towards identifying with something else, something spiritual, something the Course says is everlasting. It's described in the study materials as a fundamental teaching, not just a side note.
It's about seeing the physical ending as, well, not the real ending.
Precisely. It reframes it as a misperception, a belief in limitation that we've bought into, rather than the ultimate truth of our being.
Which, if you can really grasp it, could fundamentally change how you deal with the fear of death, couldn't it? Both for yourself and for others.
That's the promise, yes. To dismantle that fear at its very foundation by showing that its object death isn't actually real in the way we assume it is.
Okay, so if death isn't the final word, then what are we? This brings us to the Son of God part of the lesson. How should we understand that term here? It's not the conventional religious meaning, is it?
No, not in the typical sense. In the Course's language, Son of God refers to our true self, the capital S self. It's that spark of the divine within all of us, our spiritual essence, which is seen as eternally connected to God or source or spirit, whatever term resonates.
So it's not the body, not the personality or the ego.
Exactly. It's the unchanging reality of who we are beneath all the temporary layers. And this self, this Son of God, is described as eternal life itself. It doesn't have a beginning or an end in the way the physical body does.
It exists outside of that linear time concept we're so used to.
Right. And understanding this, really internalizing it, is what starts to separate our identity from the physical body. The body is seen as like a learning device, maybe, a temporary experience, but not the core of who we are.
So the obvious question then is, what happens when the body does stop functioning from this perspective?
Well, the Course suggests that only the illusion ends. The spirit, the Son of God, your true essence, simply continues. It's not annihilated. It's a transition of awareness, perhaps, away from the physical focus. But life itself, in its true sense, goes on.
Okay, eternal nature, death as illusion. This leads into the second part of the lesson statement. The Son of God is free. What kind of freedom are we talking about?
It's primarily spiritual freedom. Freedom from the belief in limitations, especially the ultimate limitation we perceive, which is death.
So it's not just freedom after death, but freedom now.
Very much so. It's freedom from the fear of death, which can unconsciously shape so many of our decisions and anxieties while we're living. The study materials really emphasize this. The goal is liberation from that fear here and now.
By realizing its basis is illusory.
Exactly. If you don't believe death is a real end, its power to frighten you diminishes significantly. That's the freedom being pointed to.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly profound, but how do we actually bring this into our lives? It's one thing to understand it intellectually.
And another to feel it, to live it. Absolutely.
The Course is very practical in that sense. The materials often suggest things like specific meditation practices.
Like what, for example?
Like focusing your mind on the idea of yourself being beyond your body. Maybe visualizing yourself as like pure light or energy, unbounded, not confined to your physical form, feeling into that sense of expansion and freedom.
Moving identification away from the purely physical.
Yes. And affirmations, too. Repeating the lesson's core ideas. There is no death. I am eternal. The Son of God is free.
It sounds simple, but that repetition can really start to counteract a lifetime of conditioning, can't
It
it?
absolutely can. It's like reprogramming the subconscious mind, gently replacing the fear-based thoughts with these truths. Another thing is reflection.
How so?
Looking back at your own life, when have you felt limited by the fear of loss or endings or death itself? How did that fear impact your choices, your happiness? Just seeing that clearly can be very revealing.
Recognizing the cage you've maybe put yourself in through that fear. Right. And then maybe shifting towards gratitude, focusing on things that feel timeless, the love you share, moments of pure joy, the beauty of nature, things that connect you to that feeling of eternal spirit, rather than just the temporary stuff.
So using these practices to make the concept feel more real, more lived.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that inner knowing, that felt sense of your own eternal nature.
Let's talk about some specific fears this lesson tackles. The big one for many people is losing a loved one. How does this perspective help with that kind of grief?
Well, it doesn't deny the pain of separation. The grief for the physical presence is real and needs honoring. But it offers a different context. It suggests the person's true essence, their spirit, hasn't ended.
So the connection remains.
The connection, the love, is seen as eternal because it exists at the level of spirit, not just the physical. So while you grieve the form, you can hold on to the truth that the spirit lives on, and that bond is unbroken. It shifts the focus from total loss to perhaps a change in the form of the relationship.
What about the fear of aging? Watching the body change, maybe feeling like it's declining.
Again, it's about shifting identification. If you are not your body, then the body's aging process isn't your decline. It's just the natural cycle of a temporary form.
Like changing clothes, as you said earlier.
Sort of, yeah. Your essential self, the Son of God, isn't aging. It's changeless. Seeing aging this way can potentially remove a lot of the fear and resistance we often attach to it. It's a transition of the vehicle, not the driver.
And just the general fear of endings.
Yeah.
End of a job, end of a relationship, end of a life phase.
If life itself is eternal, then these endings within the dream of the physical world are seen as, well, not true endings. They're transitions, turning points within a continuous, unending journey of spirit. It reframes them as illusions of finality.
Which leads us right back to that core reflection point from the lesson materials, doesn't it? They pose it directly to us, to you listening.
Yes. How does understanding that there is no death change your perspective on your own life and the lives of those around you?
And it follows up asking you to consider how this understanding might actually influence your daily actions, your relationships.
It's a powerful question to sit with, isn't it? It really pushes you to think, okay, if this is true, even potentially true, what changes? How would I live differently today?
Would I be less afraid? More loving? More present?
All of those, potentially. It invites a really deep personal exploration.
So wrapping this up, the key takeaways from Lesson 163 are pretty clear, but also incredibly deep.
Absolutely. First, death as we know it is presented as an illusion, a misperception.
Second, our true identity, the Son of God, is eternal, unchanging, and fundamentally free.
And third, grasping this, truly internalizing it, is the path to liberation from the fear of death, which unlocks a different way of experiencing life.
It all hinges on that shift in perception, moving our sense of self from the temporary physical to the eternal spiritual.
That's the essence of it. It's not just information, it's an invitation to a transformation of consciousness.
So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is this. If death really isn't the end, if it's an illusion, what does that open up for you right now? What possibilities emerge for how you live, how you love, how you relate, knowing your own essential deathlessness?
That's something to really ponder, what becomes possible when that fundamental fear is removed.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep talk today.